Hello, welcome back to Beauty Bee. Today we are going to talk about 5 makeup brands that I just don't like. It's not necessarily because of their products, though in some cases it is. Actually, I think there's only one on this list that I've actually ever tried anything from, but I don't like the concept of the brand, I don't like the values of the brand, or I just straight don't like them because I am allowed to just not like things for no good reason. No hard feelings if you disagree with me on really most of these, except maybe the first one. Then there might be a little bit of hard feelings. And that is Almay. Now, Almay is clearly awful as far as diversity goes. They're pretty much the poster child for the shade range of 4 foundations that are all exactly the same color of beige. However, I think that's been spoken about at length, as it should be. So we're just going to talk about how much everything else in Almay's line kind of sucks. They have these eyeshadows that I think are just hilarious. I think they call them the shadow squads because they're quads, get the pun? But they're these little 4-pan palettes. However, every shade in them is the same color, just in slightly varying levels of shimmer. But they're not so textured that they look like they would really give very different looks. I think you could get a matte and a satin, and they're not that inexpensive either. Like, I don't know who wants this. You can do this very interesting textured take on different colors. That's the idea behind the original Tati Beauty palette. NYX has those palettes, which I will put a picture up, that take on different levels of shimmer within a similar shade to give you a really nice gradient. However, because it's Almay, they had to figure out a way to mess up an actually kind of cool concept, and I think you can maybe get two distinctly different feels from the eyeshadow. You can either get a matte or you can get a kind of shimmery one, and they look just awful. They're also not that inexpensive from what I remember. I was just looking at Ulta before I filmed this video to make sure that all of my Almay hate was still current, and it is. These, I think, on Ulta Beauty were $7, which is not really even that great for a drugstore quad. However, when you're effectively getting a drugstore single or duo in some of the least inspiring colors that I have ever seen, that's really not that good of a deal at all. I mean, you can actually get quite a range of indie shadows in that $6 to $8 range. That would be interesting and good, because Almay's shadow quality, at least from what I have experienced, is absolute trash. I had a purple shadow, I think 4 years ago. I just had a really good Almay coupon. It was like a $4 off of an Almay purchase of $4 or more. So I decided to give them a try. I was not quite as clued in to their truly awful lack of diversity at that point. And oh, it was garbage. It was just this little purple single shadow. They actually still sell these. I don't remember what the name is, but I will put up a picture. I could not get this to show up. And I mean, look at me. This is not a complexion that has a difficult time getting things to show up. Usually I have the exact opposite problem where there is too much pigment and I have a hard time controlling it or a hard time blending. I can't say that more than once or twice I've ever run into shadows that just would not show up, but Almay managed it. Trying to think if I have any redeeming qualities to talk about Almay. Their old, they used to have a nice mascara. I really did enjoy the Get Up and Grow, I think it was. Um, it was pretty good. It gave me what I considered at the time to be sort of a false lash effect. I was incorrect. It did not look like false lashes at all, but it was a pretty good mascara, and because they're Almay, they discontinued it. So, and it was also more expensive than the CoverGirl mascaras that I had used before and now have gone back to using. So I don't know why I felt it was worthwhile. I don't think it really did anything much better for me than CoverGirl's has. The second and third brands, I feel, have such a similar issue that it's just worthwhile to talk about them at the same time. And these are Florence by Mills and Tarte Sugar Crush. Now, both of these at least seem to claim to be aimed at high school age children. So I understand why this does not appeal to me, a grown up ish 26-year-old woman. However, I don't even think they're really aimed at high schoolers. I think they're aimed more at the middle school to very early high school age range. I'm thinking more 12 to 15 than 15 to 18. Because I cannot imagine that kids who are 17, 18 years old are really interested in a surfboard palette. And I wouldn't choose a 16-ish year old child as the face of my brand and have her actually looking like a 16-year-old if I was aiming it at kids in their later teens. I mean, it's a bit unfortunate, I think, but middle schoolers want to be high school aged. I was pretty sure at 13 that when I was 16, 17, I was going to be no longer a nerd. I was going to be very cool. Boys were going to be interested in me, and my life was going to be great. Flash forward, sorry, 13-year-old Iris, you're still not cool. Boys still don't like you. You're still doing fine. And high school age girls want to be college age. You wouldn't put a 16-year-old on something that you were actually aiming at 17, 18-year-olds. You aim it at 13, 14-year-olds. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that cosmetic companies are marketing towards children. There has been a market for makeup for these tweens, early teens for ages. I think kids my age got a lot of it at Claire's, and we eventually learned that the reason that those lip glosses were so sweet was probably because they were chock full of lead. So obviously that is less than ideal. I am very glad that there are now safe cosmetics that are aimed at kids in their early teens. However, I don't think that the price range is really appropriate to be aimed at kids in that age group. I mean, at 13, 14 years old, $15 for a lip product would have been unachievable. That was what I made mowing my grandparents' lawn every week and a half or so during the summer. And I was absolutely being overpaid for that because it was my grandparents and they wanted to spoil me. And additionally, my mom made me save 50% of that right off the bat for college. So was I really going to save up that kind of money? So basically 2 or 3 weeks worth of work to buy one lip gloss? No, and I really hope that kids that age aren't doing that now. However, I kind of suspect they are. When I was that age, makeup was very much a secondary thing. It was more about clothes, and I didn't really save up for clothes either. As mentioned before, I was very much a nerd. However, I knew a lot of kids who did. And at least clothes, when you get to the end of middle school, at least fit you and you can continue to wear for a few years. However, makeup goes bad. And I guess it's not unexpected that there are these brands that are higher priced that are aimed at children now, because there is a side of the beauty YouTube community that really does aim at children. I don't know what James Charles' demographic data looks like, but I'm guessing that a good chunk of his audience is in middle school or early high school, and seeing him use $40 makeup, $50 makeup probably makes that $15 to $30 makeup from Sugar Rush and Florence by Mills seem a lot more palatable, both to kids and to the parents who ultimately are probably the ones making these purchases. Now let's move from overpriced makeup that's actually aimed at teens to overpriced makeup that probably should be aimed at teens but somehow isn't, with Lipstick Queen. Now, everything about this brand just screams to me that it's something that I could have gotten at like the Scholastic Book Fair when I was 11. The packaging is in these quite bright, shiny colors. You twist it up and you have, a green lipstick, but when you put it on, it turns pink, or it's a yellow lipstick and it turns coral, I think. I don't really remember, but it's just all about the gimmick. The gimmick that it's going to give you this perfect color for you, when really it's a pretty expensive product. These are about $25 full size, which is more than MAC lipsticks. And I could just go into MAC and get a perfect lip color for me. I am totally willing to just pick a lip color that I know will work rather than put a Lipstick Queen color on and hope that it 100% turns into a better shade for my lips. I don't care if it looks green in the tube. That's so incredibly dumb to me. And yeah, it just reads as something that should be aimed at children, but isn't. I know that these are aimed at adults, and it is absolutely mystifying to me that there are people over the age of 15 who actually want these. The last brand we're going to talk about today is another one that's all about the gimmick, and in this case it is Storybook Cosmetics. Now, for a brand that is 100% about the packaging, because I don't know that I've ever heard anyone actually review the brushes or the palettes from Storybook. It always seems to be about how cute are these brushes and how cute is the packaging. The packaging is actually kind of garbage. I mean, they're quite thick looking, like a book, which I suppose fits with their theme. However, I mean, I wish my books took up less space. I don't want a palette that could be this slim to actually take up that much room. I don't want to need to buy a bookcase for my palettes. That's ridiculous to me. I also just do not understand the desire for these highly themed brush sets that they have made so many of over the years. Why would I want a handle that looks like a wand or a unicorn, or I'm sure there's like 10 other collections that I'm forgetting about. I know there's at least 2 wand collections actually. And I don't see the appeal. I never have. For me, brushes are very much a utilitarian choice. I think you can see them behind me. I just put them in really cheap wine glasses to store them. Most people in the beauty community, at least, seem to store their brushes pointing upwards, so you can't even see the handle. You can only see the handle when you're actively using it for, 20 seconds first thing in the morning when you're tired and honestly probably too out of it to really appreciate what you're using on your eye. So don't get that. The packaging, eh. And they also have a Hunger Games collection coming out, which I actually love the Hunger Games. Very big fangirl, still somewhat. However, that ship really sailed a few years ago. Um, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is on clearance at some of the bookstores around me now, and that only came out in May. So people are not digging this anymore, me excluded, and they can't even get me interested in this Hunger Games collection because they're these stupidly overpriced highlighters. I think they're $80 for three, and it's Storybook Cosmetics, so I have no faith that the quality on them is even any good. Okay, I need to stop. Thank you for watching. I do plan on making a more positive version of this video. Probably I'll put it out a week from whatever day I post this. And I will try to bring more positive energy to that video. I think you should definitely watch that one. Make sure that it gets more views than my negative one. Otherwise, you're proving Shane Dawson right, and no one wants that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you'll let me know about the brands that you hate, because I feed off of negative energy. What can I say? And I hope you'll like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you next time.